Hello everyone, this is 5. Today we are going to talk about one of the most important concepts in Legends of Runeterra, which is attack. In Legends of Runeterra, even it's on your defensive turn, you will have full mana to respond to your opponent's actions. So this makes a very big difference on when to attack. And this also introduces a very important concept that's called open attack, which means on your attack turn, attack with your board directly without playing any slow spell or any units. For example, let's look at this board. So on the board we have 2 units, 4 power total, and it's our attack turn. So we can choose to open attack, which means attack with the 2 creatures on the board, and that will take 4 damage to our opponent's nexus. And look at our hand, we also have some other considerations. We can play the Paddler, which will have 8 powers total on our board. Then look at our opponent's mana. Our opponent have 4 regular mana and 3 spell mana, which means it's very likely he has something to play on this turn as well. So if we play the Paddler, it's not very likely we can get all the 8 attack onto our opponent's nexus. So this is not a very optimal choice. Another consideration is to play Shadow Assassin, which will give our dual +1 attack, and we will have 5 attack total with Elusive on board. But this play will be very vulnerable to our opponent's Avalanche, which is very likely to be in his deck. So in my opinion, in this specific situation, it's probably a better choice to just open attack and then see what our opponent do. And this is just to showcase how things can be very complex even on a very earlier attack turn. And we have to consider similar things on every single attack turns we have in the whole game. To summarize, there are 2 major considerations on whether we should open attack. So first is whether our opponent has a bigger unit to play that can block most of our units, and in the end cause an unfavorable trade in the combat. For example, let's look at this board. Most of our units are very small on the power and on the health, and our opponent have a Garen in hand, which was recalled by us from last turn. So it's very favorable in this situation to just open attack and take all the damage to their nexus before they can play Garen. Another major consideration for whether we should open attack is whether in our opponent deck there may be a very powerful slow spell or a unit that have a very strong play effect. For example here, Avalanche, the Runation's Intimidating Roll, and She Who Wonders are 4 very good examples for this case. And if we think our opponent may have this, it's probably better for us to just open attack and take the damage. One last thing I want to talk about in this video is sometimes it's actually better to not attack at all. Let's see this board. We have a 3/2 unit with Challenger. Our opponent just passed with 3 full mana, not spent on anything at all. So if we take a look at our opponent's deck, it's actually a deck running Zed. This case is very suspicious because we didn't attack yet, so our opponent passed directly, which may mean our opponent has that in hand but don't want to trade with our Wolf on board. So in this specific case, I think it's actually favorable to us to just pass the turn as well and waste our opponent's 3 mana so he cannot play a creature on turn 3. So that's the last thing I want to talk about in this video. I hope my content is interesting to you, and see you next time.